When it comes to relationships, especially romantic ones, understanding human behavior is critical. We must explore the deeper layers of the mind, both ours and others. Many women often wonder, why do men sometimes pull away or seem distant when I show them genuine interest? The answer lies not in the action itself, but in the energy that action carries. As humans, we are drawn to balance, challenge, and the feeling of earning connection. From a psychological perspective, when you display overwhelming interest in someone without leaving space for mutual effort, it can disrupt the delicate dance of attraction. It's not about playing games, it's about balance, an exchange of energy. Think about it. In the quantum world, energy flows where attention goes. If your attention is hyper-focused on a man, and he senses it, the energy dynamic may feel imbalanced. It's not the interest that repels, it's the lack of self-respect and autonomy it can sometimes communicate. When you prioritize someone else's approval over your own sense of worth, you might unconsciously signal that your happiness and value depend on their validation. This can feel overwhelming for the other person, leading them to pull away, not out of malice, but because the energetic dynamic lacks equilibrium. Now, let's talk about the brain. The human brain thrives on novelty and effort. When something feels too easily obtained, it can lose its perceived value. This is not to say that you should manipulate or withhold, but rather to focus on you. Cultivate your life in such a way that your sense of joy, fulfillment, and self-worth is not tied to anyone else. When you approach a relationship as a complete, fulfilled person, you naturally exude confidence and magnetism. This isn't about indifference, it's about independence. By becoming aware of your own patterns and energy, you can shift the focus from seeking approval to radiating authenticity. In the end, relationships are not about chasing or proving, they are about sharing. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And when you fill your own cup first, you invite others to do the same, creating connections that are not based on need, but on mutual respect and love. When we talk about human interactions, particularly in relationships, we must first understand the role of energy, attention, and personal balance. Every thought we think, emotion we feel, and action we take carries a vibrational frequency. In the context of relationships, this energy either creates harmony and mutual attraction or repels the other person. When someone expresses too much interest in another person, particularly early in a relationship, it can create an energetic imbalance. In essence, they might be unconsciously giving away their power. This happens because excessive focus on another person often stems from an inner feeling of lack, perhaps the belief that this person's attention or approval is the key to feeling complete. What we fail to recognize is that relationships thrive when there is mutual respect, independence, and an equilibrium of energies. If one person overwhelms the dynamic with excessive interest or attention, the other person may feel pressured or lose the natural intrigue that fosters connection. From a neurological perspective, when someone senses overwhelming interest, their brain processes it as predictability. Predictability often leads to a lack of novelty, which reduces dopamine, the neurochemical responsible for excitement and motivation. Humans are biologically wired to seek novelty and challenge. When something becomes too available or easy, it may no longer trigger the same drive. In the context of personal growth, it's important to ask yourself, why am I giving so much of myself away? When we consistently place others' needs, wants, and desires above our own, we're often running from an inner void. But what would happen if you turned that attention inward? If you redirected your focus to becoming the best version of yourself? True attraction is not about what you give to another person but what you cultivate within yourself. Confidence, self-respect, and independence create a magnetic energy that others find irresistible. When you know your worth, you stop overextending yourself to earn validation because you understand that you are already enough. The paradox is that when you stop needing someone else's attention, they often feel naturally drawn to you. Why? Because you are no longer chasing or projecting your energy outward. Instead, you are centered, balanced, and radiating a frequency of wholeness. And in that state, You don't need to overcompensate or prove your value. Your energy speaks for itself. So, the next time you feel inclined to show excessive interest in someone, pause and ask yourself, am I acting from a place of love or fear? Am I giving because I genuinely want to, or because I'm afraid of losing their attention? By addressing the root cause of your behavior and aligning your energy with your inner truth, you create the foundation for authentic, balanced relationships where mutual respect and attraction can flourish. Remember, the most profound relationships arise not from seeking outward validation but from sharing your wholeness with another person. In the realm of human interaction and relationships, one truth often gets overlooked: energy doesn't lie. It's not just what you say or do. It's the intention, the vibration behind your actions, that shapes how others perceive and respond to you. When we find someone we're deeply interested in, our instinct might be to express that interest openly and fervently. But sometimes, this can lead to an unintended outcome, being ignored or undervalued. Why does this happen? It's not because showing interest is inherently wrong. It's because of the energy we project when we do so. Let me explain. Every human being is wired to value what feels rare and unique. It's not arrogance, it's biology. When you place someone on a pedestal and pour your energy into chasing their validation, you shift the dynamic of the interaction. Instead of being an equal participant in a relationship, you subconsciously tell them, I need your attention to feel whole. You are more valuable than I am. This creates an imbalance. The other person feels your neediness, even if it's unspoken, and it triggers an unconscious withdrawal. You may think your interest is coming from a place of love, but often it's coming from a place of lack, a belief that you're not enough as you are. Now, imagine a different scenario. What if you could redirect that energy inward? What if, instead of seeking their attention, you started focusing on becoming the best version of yourself? When you prioritize your growth, your happiness, and your purpose, you exude a different kind of energy, an energy of abundance. You radiate confidence, self-worth, and authenticity. In this state, you're not chasing anyone. Instead, you're attracting. People are drawn to you because you embody the qualities they desire. You're no longer saying, please notice me. You're saying, this is who I am, and I love myself enough to let the right people come into my life. This isn't about playing games or manipulating someone into liking you. It's about understanding the balance of energy in relationships. When you show too much interest too soon, you disrupt the natural flow of connection. True intimacy and attraction take time to build. They require mutual respect, curiosity, and the freedom to explore each other's energy without pressure. So, the next time you feel compelled to prove your worth to someone by showing excessive interest, pause. Ask yourself, am I coming from a place of abundance, or am I seeking validation? If it's the latter, take a step back. Focus on your own growth, your own joy, and your own journey. Because the most magnetic thing you can do is to be authentically, unapologetically yourself. When you embody this truth, you'll find that the right people, those who truly value and respect you, will naturally gravitate towards you. And the connections you create will be based on mutual love, respect, and shared energy, not on the need to chase or be chased. Remember, you are already enough. Let that be the foundation of every relationship you build. Have you ever wondered why, despite your best efforts, showing too much interest in someone sometimes pushes them away? It's not about what you say or do on the surface. It's about the energy you project and the dynamics of attraction. When you pursue someone with heightened intensity, it often stems from a place of fear or lack, fear of losing them, or a subconscious belief that their presence validates your worth. This is where the energy misalignment begins. Attraction thrives in balance. It's a natural flow of giving and receiving, a dance where both partners feel an equal sense of value. But when you overextend, by constantly texting, giving too much attention, or prioritizing them above yourself, you unintentionally disrupt this balance. What you're energetically saying is, I don't feel whole without you. And this creates resistance. Men, like all human beings, are drawn to confidence and independence. When you focus on yourself, your growth, your passions, and your well-being, you radiate a magnetic energy. This doesn't mean playing games or pretending to be distant. It's about authentically showing that you're complete as you are. Think about it. Have you ever experienced being more intrigued by someone who has their own world, their own dreams, and doesn't revolve their life around you? That's the power of self-assurance. When you show too much interest, especially early on, it can overwhelm the other person. Instead of curiosity and mutual discovery, it may create pressure or make them feel like they've already won you over. Without the mystery of unfolding connection, attraction can wane. So, what's the answer? It's not about withholding your feelings, but about shifting your focus inward. Prioritize your personal growth, cultivate your self-worth, and let your happiness radiate from within. When you live from a state of wholeness, the right connections will naturally flow to you. In the end, love and attraction aren't about chasing or proving your value to someone else. They're about aligning with the energy of self-love and allowing the right person to meet you there. When you show someone too much interest, particularly men, without maintaining your sense of independence and self-worth, it can sometimes lead to unexpected reactions, including them pulling away or seeming to ignore you. This behavior is not always a reflection of the other person's feelings, but often highlights deeper psychological dynamics at play. From a neurological and energetic standpoint, human beings are naturally drawn to balance and mystery. When someone is overly eager, it can disrupt that balance. Imagine for a moment that every interaction is like a dance. Both partners are meant to take turns leading and following, creating a rhythm. If one person rushes ahead, taking all the steps and leaving no room for the other, the dance loses its harmony. The same applies to relationships. Overextending yourself can unintentionally project a sense of lack, perhaps a lack of self-assuredness or fulfillment. Neuroscience shows that when we act from a place of scarcity, we emit certain emotional signals or energy that others can unconsciously pick up. The more we chase, the more we may inadvertently communicate that our happiness and self-worth are dependent on their validation. For many, this creates pressure or even resistance, leading them to pull back. Joe Dispenza teaches that we create our reality through our energy and focus. If your energy is entirely consumed by someone else, you lose the power to co-create the life you want. By focusing inward, cultivating self-love, and living a fulfilled, purpose-driven life, you become magnetic, not through chasing, but through embodying authenticity and independence. Men, like all humans, are drawn to confidence and equilibrium. When you shift from seeking validation externally to finding it within yourself, your interactions naturally become more balanced and meaningful. Attraction is not about what you do for someone else. It's about who you are when you're grounded, whole, and content in your own journey. So, if you find yourself wondering why someone seems distant, pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, am I acting out of self-love or fear of loss? Am I prioritizing my growth and happiness, or am I losing myself in the process of trying to win another's approval? True connection arises not from how much you give, but from the authenticity and balance you bring to the relationship. In relationships, many people unknowingly make themselves vulnerable to cycles of attention and neglect, often questioning, why am I ignored when I show too much interest? To understand this, we must first look inward, for the answers lie in the relationship we cultivate with ourselves. According to the principles of neuroscience and emotional energy, which I often explore, we are beings of frequency. Every thought we think and every emotion we feel emits a signal. When we become overly focused on external validation, seeking someone's attention, approval, or affection, we inadvertently signal a state of lack. This energy creates imbalance, not only within ourselves but also in how others perceive us. Imagine this. You're pouring all your energy into someone else, trying to earn their favor, but in doing so, you deplete your own reserves. The person on the receiving end feels this disparity. Energetically, they sense a loss of equilibrium, which can create distance instead of connection. The key is to recognize that the source of love, connection, and self-worth does not come from someone else's acknowledgement of your value. It begins within. When you align with your higher self, when you tune into a state of wholeness, you radiate confidence and self-assuredness. This is the energy of abundance. So, instead of overextending yourself or seeking validation from another, focus on creating coherence within. Meditate. Visualize yourself already possessing the love and connection you desire. When your brain and heart are in harmony, your energy shifts. You become magnetic, not by trying to pull others toward you, but by embodying the qualities of love and fulfillment that draw them naturally. To conclude, the answer isn't in changing someone else's behavior or strategizing how to capture their attention. The solution lies in mastering your internal state. When you nurture your own self-worth and radiate love from within, you stop chasing, and instead, you attract.